Patriot, thief, guardian, traitor. William Wallace has been many things to many people. In the 15th century, there was a famous poem written about him called the Wallace. In Scotland, it was the second most popular book after the Bible. However, since Mel Gibson's 1995 film Braveheart, to most he is a freedom fighter and icon of Scottish independence. What is known about Wallace's early years is that, unlike the other potential leaders of Scotland at the time, he was just the son of a Scottish landowner. He was born in 1270. Wallace was only a knight and nowhere near the aristocratic league of Robert the Bruce, for example. His opinion of the English was hardly improved when in 1291 his father was killed in a fight with English troops. With Edward I's leadership, the political scene was primed for rebellion. Edward squeezed taxes from the Scots, and popular support was on the side of the rebels, led by William Wallace. Wallace's first act of note was a strike against the English authorities. He killed the English sheriff of Lanark, gathering men around him as his rebellion gathered momentum. Wallace's greatest victory came at the Battle of Stirling Bridge, brought Wallace to the nation's attention. However, the Scots fought under the command of Andrew Murray, rather than the unproven Wallace. Murray's death in the battle left all the credit to Wallace. The Battle of Falkirk next year saw Wallace in full control of the Scottish forces and tactics. His use of dense formations of troops failed to repel the English cavalry, and the Scots were defeated, taking heavy losses. This defeat forced Wallace to resign the guardianship of Scotland that he had been awarded after Stirling Bridge. As the rebellion continued, the Scottish nobility decided to make a deal with Edward I. Failure to obtain an alliance with France against the English led Robert the Bruce to reconcile with the English king in 1302. Wallace's refusal to compromise or make any accommodations with the English began to make him look increasingly isolated and exposed. Edward declared Wallace to be an outlaw and traitor. Legally, he could now be killed without guilt, and supporting him was also an act of treason. He was captured near Glasgow and handed over to the English. Wallace was taken to London and executed. As a traitor, he was dragged to the execution place, hung, drawn, and quartered for threatening the English monasteries. His entrails were burnt before his eyes. His head was mounted on Traitor's Gate, and pieces of his body were sent to Newcastle, Berwick, Perth, and Stirling. The rise to power of Robert the Bruce after this, and his coronation as an independent king of Scotland, helped to seal Wallace's reputation as a martyr. His refusal to settle for anything less than complete independence for his country. This could be seen as naivety, an absolute belief in his cause, or just a lack of options. Whatever the case, he is now thought of as a very inspirational man of his time. Wallace was a short-lived figure, and there is only small evidence for his actions in the historical record. Importance is drawn mainly from his value to the Scottish people as an icon and patriotic hero.